One of the things I think is important about North Beach is this is an incredible literary center of artists over since the beginning of San Francisco. San Francisco was first here. We find that kind of like these creative neighborhoods always sort of happen with the intersection of two cultures. So Columbus Avenue kind of divides Chinatown from Little Italy. And I think it's this intersection between the two cultures that really kind of produces this incredible kind of like dynamics. Now the other thing about being creative that you need is you need cheap food and cafes, because most artists can't afford hot water or heat in their places, so that's why they'd hang out in cafes all day long. Now, if you look on your map, the way I've set this map up is number one is City Lights, which I consider to be ground zero. City Lights was sort of established by Lawrence Ferlinghetti as the first. Remember, at one time there were no paperback books, and City Lights was a paperback book publisher. They also had their own press, and one of the things that Ferlinghetti did is he published the poem Howl by Allen Ginsberg, which, if you can believe it, in the 50s it was censored and it was confiscated by the post office, and it went to trial as obscene. Now, if you look, when you're standing in front of Vesuvio's and you look down the street, you can see Zoetrope Studios, which is another important thing about this area, in that Francis Ford Coppola broke away from the Hollywood sort of like, I don't know, tradition or the confines of the Hollywood film producing, and was one of the first independent film producers, and other, like George Lucas was also part of that group. So Zoetrope Studios is, I think, another part of that great independent tradition of San Francisco. Now the other thing is, where is North Beach? Where's the beach? You know, like, where the hell is the beach? I always wondered that till I did some research on this. So when you're standing in front of Vesuvio's and you look down at the bottom of the hill where Transamerica building is, that was the beach. That was the beach. And Columbus Avenue, why is Columbus Avenue a diagonal? It's because it was an Indian trail that connected both waterfronts, both beaches. If you look down the street, there are two really great locations. The Condor Club, and there's a brass plaque outside the Condor Club because this is where the first topless dancing got its start, and also bottomless dancing got its start there. And then the last thing is Mario's Cigar Store, which is right here. When I first came to town, you could still get a cigar there, and Mario was still there. Now, no Mario, no cigars.
Chip and I have been at ASLA's request doing the national sketch crawls for ASLA. This will be our 4th year. This is something that ASLA actually approached us to start doing 4 years ago, and actually called and said, would you consider doing this, because they saw this explosion of freehand sketching work happening online. That makes you guys not only brave for being out in the weather like this, it makes you part of the friggin' freehand revolution. I used to say 10, 15 years ago, if you had whiz-bang computer skills, that was a differentiator. That's what put you ahead of your classmates that were looking for jobs. And now it's the opposite. If you don't have the whiz-bang skills, that's baseline. You've absolutely got to have those. And freehand sketching has become a differentiator that you can put your portfolio out in an interview and they say, God, you can do this? Because almost nobody can do that. My old drawing teacher, April's old teacher, James Turner, used to say, draw with abandon. Basically what he meant by that was draw like a kid. You know, you've probably all learned a little bit about how to put together composition, line, color, perspective, those types of things. Let those be guidelines, and don't get all hung up on trying to be super accurate with this stuff. Try to capture that energy, what it is that drew you to draw it in the first place.
Just draw. Everybody can draw. You don't worry about being Picasso or how great it is. Anybody can draw, and if you just don't worry about making mistakes, good things will happen.